Oh my goodness. Let me just say that I'm grateful to be in space with all of you and so many of my favorite poets this evening. Like Lindo, you hit the nail on the head. Like I have stories with so many people in this room. And at this stage in my life, I feel like, I'm on life number 6, I think. I've given myself 9. And at this stage in my life, poetry means something entirely different to me than it meant when I was younger. I'm grateful for Josh and the way that you continue to bring us together and anchor us in this community culturally, and the way that you filled the gap for so many of us. And now more than ever, we need to be gathering and fortifying one another. So when I think about poetry as journalism, I thought about this piece, and Josh gave us the option to read something that we had submitted or both. Something, present for the times. And I went back and I looked at this piece that I was asked to write, and I remember how I don't really write these kinds of poems because I'm a Pisces and I'm very sensitive, very sensitive. And so she asked me to write a poem for Eddie Irizarry, and I watched the footage. I found it 6 times. And I felt like if I was called to write about this young man's life who I did not know, then I wanted to be there for the last moments in a really sacred way. And I prayed before I started watching the footage because I knew that it was going to be graphic, but I needed to understand his last moments to honor his life. And I wrote this piece called 7 Modest Weapons because as I did my research around Eddie Irizarry, there was so much coverage around what the officers did and, what they were accused of, but there were very few things I could find about Eddie. And I found 7 adjectives. And the weapons are in contrast to the 7 charges that the officers were brought up on. So this was an attempt to combat the narrative and preserve his legacy. 7 Modest Weapons. For Junito, which was his nickname. I wish the last words you heard were prayers from the comfort of your bed, surrounded by the warmth of your family and loved ones in the well-earned autumn of your life. Instead, your last rites were traded for chaotic commands, misguided through a rolled up window, priming the glass for the bullets that would soon follow on a residential street. One late afternoon in the waning summer heat, a cold body leaped. I will fucking shoot you. I wanted to do your legacy justice, but a quiet, humble, sweet, mechanic, cousin, brother, son, were all the descriptors I could gather amidst the coverage and the cover-ups. 6 modest weapons struggling for sunlight to combat a convoluted narrative determined to suppress, and 1 extra to outweigh the charges of your pest. Sweet, aggravated assault. Quiet, simple assault. Mechanic, reckless endangerment. Humble, official oppression. Cousin, voluntary manslaughter. Brother, murder. Son. Everyone dismissed, like the regard for your life. And I don't know what caused you to maneuver the way you did, what unfolded in your day, your heart, your mind, but I know with certainty that you didn't deserve to die. Knew that you didn't stand a chance when the footage revealed that their minds were made up even before they advanced. And 2 officers of the law left the car with guns drawn, hard on, crime in their execution, but what was in their hearts? When they couldn't discipline themselves enough to dial back on the mark. Puerto Rican at point blank, your car parked, yelled gun, when in the end all they found was a knife. Eddie, I'm sorry that you were surrounded by people who chose not to see your humanity, who lied on your name and called you a threat, who could only think of the reputation they had to protect while you gasped for air in your last moments of breath, leaving your family to soon grieve your untimely death. I'm sorry that part of your memory is that you were unjustly slain, then dragged and loaded into the back of a police SUV like a dutiful hunter's game. That for so many reasons it was just another day for an aggravated, simple, reckless, official, voluntary murder. by an aggravated, simple-minded, trigger-happy coward with a reckless erection, official lie protected because of voluntary ignorance in a system that paints the victims as complicit in their own murder. Heartbreaking that Mr. Irizarry won't have a second chance to show he can comply, said one. Man seeing him take his last breath is a haunting sight, said another. But for this humble brother, quiet, mechanic, sweet son, shoot first, ask questions later. Lie first, tell the truth if you get caught. Unlikely to result in any consequences. We will protect you from the onslaught. And Junito, I will be sure to say your name, Eddie Irizarry Jr., your age, 27, who you were, Puerto Rican, mechanic, cousin, brother, son, quiet, humble, sweet. I wonder what would happen if they actually let the public see the inhumanness of police brutality on primetime TV. No edits, no spin, just the grim truth of it all. That all lives matter, but some lives don't matter at all. Man, seeing him take his last breath is a haunting sight, said one. Heartbreaking that Mr. Irizarry won't have a second chance to show he can comply, said another. Some protested, others used your name in vain to justify why they loot. Those without discernment write it in history as one truth. Do exactly as I say and I will still fucking shoot. A loud, quiet, proud, humble, sour, sweet cousin, best friend, sister, brother, daughter, son. I pray the last words you heard were prayers. As you sat there in your car, I pray you comforted yourself on that August afternoon, that you surrounded yourself with the voice of God, that you meditated on loved ones and the laughter-filled memories you made in the summer of your life, in that instant before making your way home. Thank you. Okay. This last piece I'm gonna do, and anybody who actually knows me knows I don't write short poems, so I'm gonna move through this as quickly as I can, Josh, I promise. They gonna put us out? You think they're gonna put us out?
No, but I give you an extra 5 minutes on the space,
because you knew. But let's get into it. Give thanks, my girl. This piece is called The Reclamation. You gotta know not your audience, but your poets. You gotta know who you book. Give thanks, sister, and I don't like to rush. This piece I really wanted to read because, oh man, I don't want to get too verbose because this is long enough, but this is called The Reclamation, or Sonia Ma, The Reclamation. And I tell this story sometimes, but I was asked to write a piece for Zanelli Maholi, the South African artist, who premiered some work in Atlanta and by the same name, Sonia Ma, Hail the Dark Lioness. And I tell this story often about the transformative qualities of poetry, in that I had seen pictures online, I was sent the thing, it was like an assignment, you know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, And I felt really good about my poem, and then I got into the space with the work and was completely transformed, and I wrote all night until the sun came up, and I cried and I birthed and I called my sister, and this is what actually came out, and this is called The Reclamation. And if I had to give you a visual for how I see like this piece, right, is that a woman, a black woman, is on a horse in the middle of the desert, and she rides up to this unknown, unmarked space because she knows that is where she is buried. And so it is a resurrection and a reclamation. I have come to save myself. I am not afraid. Come to exhume this body from an unmarked grave. Deep amorphous melanin, sweet black night, merciful sword of opulence, authoring scripture with light, progeny of God, icon of pulchritude, earthbound perfection, profound, arresting muse. My body is an untold story, a rare and distinct expression, an autobiography unfolding, an archive, of selves. So with an in-breath, I call myself awake because there is too much at stake, because I cannot afford to keep dying in closets, teaching myself how to breathe underwater, switching hybrid tongues with alarming ease, a contaminated projection of myself to myself, a menstrual monstrosity. Mumbling echoes back to a broken mirror, trying to remember which language I am written in when I know I am a living record of freedoms converging. Yes, this is where silence becomes sin. Because this air is toxic. Lately, I can't seem to catch my breath. Got a pain behind my heart that sews my retinas to my chest. A 7-car pileup at the opening of my throat, and not a soul for miles. So I've come to my own rescue. Prepare the hero's welcome as I arrive, when I choose to hold my lover's hand and kiss them with radical softness in the burning bright of day. You did not call me into existence, yet your gaze suggests I am an inconvenience of language, a word you would rather not say. But even when you try and silence me, my eyes will preach the sun. This black body is love. This black body is here. This black body is Sum Yoma. This black body at peace. Look closely. I am laying amongst the rocks, resting inside a tree, hidden in plain sight, dangerous as an epiphany, becoming one with myself. Place your eyes on me. There is a tattoo on my shoulder. Do you look or do you see me? My gaze more intimate than your comfort zone. I do not flinch when your eyes appraise. Hail the dark lioness, my blackness unafraid. Often relayed in iterations without my permission. Baffling renditions of my DNA on display, plagiarized. I do not give consent to be copied, threatened, or exoticized. My story is my own, but your polluted gaze would make mythology of my bones. Yes, I am feast for eyes and food for soul. I am appetite and savored bite. But first of all these things, I am whole. Even my half-breaths are birthrights. My resting posture, a soliloquy, defiance and affirmation. I am a declaration of liberty. I am not some awkward phrase that doesn't fit inside your lungs. Rather, I am hurricane strength pentameter pulling the stammer from your tongue. A gale force wind blowing through makeshift shelter. Song your ma, say my name, for I know the subtle violence of being misnamed, the gentle murder implicit in mispronunciation, the recklessness of misrepresentation when overheard conversations feel like firing squads. I am at odds with myself when I do not act. So I caress the syllables that stumble across your tongue, bathe them and whisper bedtime stories of their etymology. Quiet, be silent. This darkness is glorious, this fierce beauty, cognitive dissonance for the colonized mind, a well-placed explosive in the heart of a virus, a disruption that calls you awake with an in-breath. No, I hear, but I do not listen when you say that I do not belong in this particular place, when your eyes police me and your actions insist that I continue breathing, but at my own risk. I will not spend my life as a mispronounced phrase because you refuse to learn my name, though you have called for my erasure. I persist. Behold, I am a monument unto myself, a sacred gift. The nomenclature no longer bends in your favor. It breaks like glass between subject and stranger, unearthing the deepest of truths. That freedom requires alternative roots. I have come to save myself. I am not afraid. Come to exhume this body from an unmarked grave. Deep amorphous melanin, sweet black night, merciful sword of opulence, authoring scripture with light, progeny of God, icon of pulchritude, earthbound perfection, profound arresting truth. My body is an untold story, an autobiography unfolding, a record of freedoms converging, an archive of self. Thank you.